Usually when I press that button, things happen. How do I know? Oh, I remember. It tells me. It says something like, people can totally see you now. Sorry. I'm live. That took me 20 seconds to figure that out. Okay. I tried uploading a video or recording a video, and it didn't record. And then I tried to upload it and premiere it, and it was a 2-second mess. Oh, and I just realized this could probably be a mess too. I just realized that. Hopefully it sounds right. Let me do something. Okay. Revelation 13, verse 13. Because I just heard you guys on Karen B's channel, and it was Jeran was talking about the Bible, saying, I heard the word interpret a few times, and so it made me think of Revelation 13, verse 13. And he doeth great wonders, and so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Maybe in Cape Canaveral. You never know. But that don't need to be interpreted. So that's my point. That's what I'm pointing out. Because I've thought about this before. Jeran is a very level-headed, very clear-thinking person. I can just tell when I hear him. And these words in this verse are very clear words. So I figured, I've always thought that. I was like, I wonder if Jeran just has never thought about that, or never, because it's something to talk about. Because there's the fire coming down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and there's Elon Musk landing rockets. And you know what it says after that? It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And the beast is scarlet colored. This should be getting obvious for any flat earther if they read the scriptures, because this whole story's in here, and I'm not trying to make this a super long video, so the whole story's in there. It's just in a different way than a lot of people understand it, but it's very clear in there, very clear. Daniel saw a he-goat, something that had a notable horn between its eyes. He saw it wax great, even to the host of heaven, and cast some of the stars down. And John, in Revelation, saw a red dragon at war with Michael and his angels in heaven. A red dragon, maybe like a SpaceX red dragon, like the Mars mission gig. It's all in there, from the beginning to now, tomorrow, until eternity. So when he said his words will never fade away or never pass away, they won't. It's like the story's been told. So I wish I could see the chat, but I'm always worried about okay, I'm gonna find it here. Alright, DOC Michael, thank you for helping out. That last video, that was a mistake. I don't know what I did. Awesome. Yeah, like, that's why I think I put that in the description. Or no, I put put it in the description of the other video, where it could be one of two things, and it really doesn't make a difference which one it is. We know it's a lie. So it could be a real metal pencil falling out of the sky, and the only reason why it can do that is because of the spiritual world making it happen. Satan doing it. And then in Revelation 12, the dragon is Satan. And every time I come up in this space station, I have to wear a bib. I could show you, but I'm not going to show you. I have to wear a bib so that the screen works. Make sure you guys watch my next video. What am I going to name it? I can't reveal the name of it even. There's just like there's some stuff that we're seeing, and it's like everyday stuff for us, and it doesn't even exist to the rest of the world. They just don't comprehend it, but it's great. It's good stuff. I found it today, and it happened today. So, and it was an ISS thing. So check it out for sure. My next video, and it won't be me. It'll be someone else in here. So, it'll be the current astronaut. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna figure out how to turn this off. NASA. Yeah, like SpaceX and NASA. They're like the evil in the world. They're the kingdoms, and no one sees it. And I don't know why. I heard something Jesus said today in my headphones. I was listening to the book of Mark, and I'm not even gonna, it's talking about worshiping him in vain, and being like doing the things of men and not of God. And I'm thinking to myself, going, I see something that God's doing. I see it all over the place, all over these channels, all over in these chats where you go, and there's these people that are speaking another language, a new language that they all understand, and they're trying to tell the world this language. They're trying to tell it to them, but the world is like, doesn't comprehend that there's this other language. They just don't even get it. They just think there's a bunch of dumb people. Like, that's just what they think. And they're gonna think that until like destruction comes. And I don't know how that's all gonna go down, but we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So that's great. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of people that would call themselves like representatives of the church or of God or whatever, and they don't get it. I'm not saying that these people have bad hearts or something. They have good hearts, and they have good intentions, but they're just not getting it. Like how could you? I'm just gonna make an example. Like, how could you be a pastor of a church and have this subject, just this subject being out there, and not be completely consumed by finding out why all these people are saying this? Why are these people saying flat earth? Why are they saying it would matter? Like, that's really the only question someone should be able to ask, or should have to ask themselves. Like, why are they, like, if there's a group of people involved in whatever, anything, and if they're like, first of all, they're trying to tell you, but like, it would make me worry if they're saying the things we're saying. It would make me worry legitimately. And I would consider it, but not in this world. That's just not acceptable. All right, I'm out of here. Have fun. Yeah, I think just everybody keep doing what we're doing. Everybody that's bearing witness to the truth that came down from heaven, because that's where it came from. I didn't come up with it. Maybe it was Mark Sargent came up with it, right? Or Eric Dubé, or Jeran, or maybe they came up with it and they said, oh, you know what? Out of the billions of people that have lived, maybe I can be the one that reveals this truth to the world. We know better than that. How come people in every country are talking about it? Oh, that's because of the internet. Yeah, because we only had the internet a few years? That doesn't make sense. So, there's a time written about and Jesus talked about, where there would be a gospel preached, the gospel of the kingdom of God, and it would be preached as a witness to all nations, and then shall the end come. That's what Jesus said. And then shall the end come. And then he also said that this gospel, that you'll be hated for it, or you'll be hated for my name, and like in the synagogues you'll be beaten. And when I think of that, I'm like, in the synagogues you'll be beaten. That doesn't make sense. If you go to church, they're gonna beat you for pointing out like truth in the Bible, like really clear truth, like heaven, earth, period. Like that, not around, or I got this microphone in my hand, so I can't really do many hand gestures right now. But yeah, I think maybe my next video, I think I might call it Strings and CGI, because it's a good one. So I better go make that. And you guys all have a good one. Uh-oh. I see something in the chat. Someone wrote booted. In the churches, they kick you out. Yeah, JM Truth. Yes, exactly. And that's exactly what Jesus said. He said, in the synagogues, you will be beaten. I should read it. My head might get a little loose here. But really, I was reading it, like while I was making a video one day. I don't know if that was in Mark or where that was that I was reading it. And like even in Acts, right at the beginning, I just thought of another thing. That all the things that Jesus specifically said are so clear, and I think that nobody has like, he opened the scriptures up for people to understand in the last few years, the end times stuff, like because in the book of Daniel it said it was going to be sealed up, or he said seal up, or seal it up until the time of the end or whatever. And I think we're there. So like the beasts that Daniel sees, people get confused. They forget about what Daniel's describing, and they I'm not going to go to the they forget about what Daniel's describing visually. Like he's saying something that he sees, these four beasts, like he's being shown something, and it's what will exist at the end. And I'm trying to tell people, yeah, those beasts, notice how the first one has wings and it's lifted up from the earth, and then the wings are plucked, and like these are flying vehicles. And in Enoch 57, he sees a host of wagons with men riding thereon, riding on the four winds, or on the winds of heaven. Yeah, I'm in space, Davey 313. Sort of. My head's a little loose today. But yeah. And it's like it's so clearly prophesied that at the end, that what we read about in Genesis 1, that it says, or the Lord, how he made the world. He spoke it like the word of God. It came out of his mouth and it was. He spoke it, let there be light, and there was light. Just like that. That's how he made the world in 6 days, right? And then in Isaiah 43 and 48, it says that he's going to call his sons and daughters, and who among them can declare this and show us former things? And then in a few chapters, 5 chapters later, he says, I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they came forth out of my mouth, and I did them, or I showed them, and they happened suddenly. Or I'm not trying to quote it, but he's talking about like speaking everything, the 6-day creation. That's what flat earth is. So it just tells me a lot about what being born again is and what salvation is. Salvation comes at the end, and it's revealed at the end. The truth is there's nothing that'll be hidden. Virtual churchual. I like that. So yeah, I better get out of here. I'm not trying to be like the ISS preacher. It feels weird now that you mentioned that, because I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, it's good stuff. The Bible, I mean, there's stuff in there that all this information about. That's how I know that's how I get my strength. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, read Isaiah 42 verses 6 and 7. Maybe you'll find out. It's good verses. That's like when people say following God's commandments, I think they're really misunderstood about what God's commandments are, because in Revelation, in the end, the commandment comes forth out of Mount Zion, and that's where Jesus is with his 144,000 children of Israel, and they're singing a new song that the world can't learn, and that I think that's happening. So I think it's obvious that it's happening. Thank you, DOC Michael. Yeah, Isaiah 42 verses 6 and 7. It's like if you were gonna have a commandment, it might be right there. I mean, you might be getting it right from Isaiah 42 6 and 7, and it's not like part of it or whatever. But he called some people, and he said that too. He said, "You didn't choose me; I chose you and ordained you, so that you'll go and bring forth fruit." And I think that the whole idea of fruit is really confused in this world, because if someone says they have faith in Jesus, what does it really mean to have faith? It means to believe in Jesus, believe in God. And we can count on all the things that he said. Like if you go read the Gospels, the Gospel of John is my favorite one, but I don't know though. The Mark and all of them are awesome, so I can't really say I have a favorite. But the Gospel of John is one of my favorites. I love that one. But like seriously, here's how it's different for me than it was a few years ago when I read the red letters, I'll call them, the words that Jesus actually spoke to his disciples and just as he was going around. I don't listen to those words the same way that I used to. I used to read a story, kind of like how probably everyone starts out reading the Bible. It's like a story. You got to understand who's this guy and what's he doing. He's getting these disciples, telling them, "Follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men." It's like hard to understand. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But in the last few years, I've learned that the God of creation that manifested, that sent his son, when he manifested here, it was just like a time. It was like a chosen time that Jesus was going to be here. But there in no way is their time tied to these red letters, if you get what I'm saying. So if there was 12 disciples in the room, right, and Jesus was talking to them, what I'm saying is that, yeah, he was talking to those disciples in the room and all the disciples at the same time, but we weren't there yet to hear it. Get it? The words go on forever. They'll never change. So the words, that, like he said, I mean, there's times when understanding the times or whatever. There's times when things are supposed to happen, and so these are all written in here, and we can know them. And so, like, that's how I know that we're in a time right now that I know it's the time that Jesus was talking about when the gospel would be preached, because of there's so many different books that back that up, like the book of Revelation. The everlasting gospel is preached by an angel. And what is that gospel? It's something like, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. So it's like that's what the angel flies through the heaven and preaches that. So thank you, Davey313, for saying hit the like button. So anyway, yeah, I just wish that more people knew the reality of the fulfillment of all of these. Well, that's called the law or whatever, the law and the prophets or whatever, the fulfillment of God's word. Like, it's been happening ever since he declared it. So, but yeah, so that's like, we're showing the world the truth, that like as a whole group of people, that we see something that we couldn't see before, and that's because he made us see it. There's no other explanation that's logical. And I know there's still a few people, like on my Facebook, that say, the idea of Jesus or whatever is bunk. And I gotta say, if you can't say that, if you have these eyes to see, you have to be, you have to read the red letters again, with a new way of, like, a new fresh frame of mind. Yeah, when I do a video like this, and I'm like wanting it to be just right, I have to keep my head in the exact same spot, and it's hard because your head actually wanders and you don't notice it. But yeah, I just keep looking over at my Bible, because every book in the Bible, maybe not every book, but almost every book, specifically talks about these things happening in our world. And like, I mean, it's like a repeat of a lot of things that are happening. I mean, there's some verses that they don't say flat earth in them, but like just some ways, some interesting things to think of. Okay, there's the promised land, right? The promised land. And 2nd Esdras chapter 7 verse 26, I can't quote it, but it says something like, the time will come when the signs that I showed you, it's like the Lord or an angel of the Lord speaking to Ezra, and he says, there'll come a time when the signs that I showed you will appear, or whatever, and the land, I'm serious, the land that is now hidden. So this was like a long time ago when Ezra had this talk with this angel, but the land that is now hidden will be openly displayed. And you know how Paul knew a mystery? Not just Paul. Get it? What is it? What did he say? I gotta look up a. You'll understand exactly if you just hear this verse. Like a lot of these verses, you might say, "I've read the Bible. I understand what it says. I've read the Bible." But let me tell you, if you haven't like carefully read the verses that you're thinking of, if you haven't carefully read them with your eyes that you've been seeing truth with, you better think of doing it again. Like things like this. Let me just read you 3 verses. This is in Romans that Paul wrote. Now to him that is of power to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery, which was kept secret since the world began, but now is made manifest, and by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the everlasting God, made known to all nations for the obedience of faith. What if that's this? Made known to all the nations for the obedience of faith. And so it, like I've said this so many times, but my mind goes right to what Jesus used Thomas for an example of this, I think, where some of us, like a lot of us that have a channel that we're like driven to talk about these things or to go do some experiments or whatever. It's like it's a powerful thing that's happening. And so when we were given the eyes to see something, and so what that gives us a responsibility, and that's that Isaiah 42 6-7 again. I'll just try to say it. I, the Lord, have called thee in righteousness, and will hold thine hand, and will keep thee, and give thee as a covenant for a light of the Gentiles, to remove, or to something about removing people from the darkness and removing them from the prison, out of the prison house. Like, that's what we're trying to do. Because what Jesus said, the truth, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Because we're bound in this world by a lie of darkness that blankets us. Yeah, Don Smith, I gotta do a different video or something. I like some of this stuff. I know that there's like some misled people, and it's like, it doesn't really matter who they are. We all know who they are, and we all probably see our own versions of these people in our lives or whatever on YouTube and things. But there's a lot of people that want to tell other people what a Christian is, or want to tell other people what believing is, or what the gospel is, or what the one true gospel is. And I've found that these people that don't understand it, and here's why: because nobody understands it. It's being revealed to, I guess, basically those people that are listening, or those people that are following the Lamb. So, like when Jesus was here, he was telling his disciples that he had to go, and they didn't understand anything he was saying when he was saying a lot of this. They were like, what? But he said he was going to have to go, but he would send his Spirit of truth, and he shall guide you into all truth. And this is when he said, you didn't choose me, I chose you. And so that, like, and ordained you. Like, in Revelation, those people that sing the new song, the children of Israel, the tribes or whatever, those, what was I saying about those people? Something. I'm losing my train of thought. But the obedience of faith. Thomas didn't believe that Jesus was resurrected from the dead. And he's like, I can't believe that until, like, he physically sees it. And then when he finally sees Jesus, like 8 days later or something, finally sees him, and Jesus is like, Thomas. And Thomas is like, oh, Lord, I believe. Like, I think he wanted to believe it, but he just couldn't. But Jesus used that to teach. He's like, Thomas, I'm not trying to quote it. I'm just saying, he said, blessed is he that believes without seeing. So I think that applies. Whereas if you've been shown something that, say, your family or your friends haven't been shown, that gives you a responsibility to testify of the truth that you know, of the truth, and that's what we're doing. But Jesus said we would have to do that. In John 15, verses 26 and 27. Look these up if you want. He did. He said it. He said, oh, and then also, I don't know the verse, but he said, if you stay in my word, like if we, because we know, we've already been shown the truth that basically we've been shown that we've all been deceived. And we can see that powerful, we call it indoctrination or whatever we call it. There's another word for it that people use a lot. Cognitive dissonance, like that idea of that said, like when I was converting to the truth, I said to myself so many times, no, that couldn't be though, about like so many things. And now when I look at them, they're all like imaginary things. They're all like concepts, like the heliocentric model. Like, we don't see any of that crap. We see lights in the sky. That's it. So anyway, brainwashing, that's another good way to put it. Let's be practical. I've seen your name around before. Good to see you guys. Shauna Harath is in here. I don't know how to say her last name. Beck from Oz. Don Smith, Davey313. Awesome. iCandle All. Iger Television. All People Free People. Davey313. Did I say that already? Alright. Oh yeah, you guys been here for a while. And DOC Michael, Doc Michael, I don't know how you say it. And JM Truth Productions. I think I know who JM Truth is. I can't remember names. I do remember you were on, if I got the right guy. Your buddies with Nathan Thompson, or Thompson? Man, yeah, Nathan Thompson. And you're doing a documentary thing with Shelley Lewis, I think Shelley Lewis, maybe? I don't know. Good to see you. Oh, and there was somebody that I missed. I just saw another name. It was, oh, maybe I didn't. It had to be. Where was it? Oh, maybe not. Well, if I missed you, I didn't mean to miss you. That just means that I'll say your name next time. What's up, Doc? All right. That's cool. Theodore Daniel, what's up? Good to see ya. So, yeah. It ended up being a half hour I was on here. I wasn't really trying to do a big video, but really I was going to just email David Weiss and be like, run that by Jeran. Because I know that Jeran he's a clear thinker. And like he's saying, well, people can interpret it different. Well, I'm not like here to like argue, but I am here to point out that if you can interpret that verse any different, let me know. But yeah, I got Iger Television here. Says dinosaur bones are a big business. They go for $14 million, all fake. The few that are real are from dragons and giants all over our mythology. I think you're probably right. Like we don't really know everything about the history of this world. Like we know about Adam and Eve, but we don't know about necessarily before that very clearly, and there's a lot of books that lead me to believe that there's some other thing happened before God put man here, before man fell. But there's a lot, and it's like I don't think we're gonna know all that precisely or whatever. But like the Book of Enoch, gotta read that. Karen B. Oh no, your dreams? No, you'll be fine. I was you can watch the video, but yeah, there's verses in the Bible that tell all about all these things that are happening, like and like very specifically, like that there would be people at the end declaring what God declared at the beginning, like when He said, "Let there be light," and there was light. I'll say Dan Dimension, like that comes to mind, and Daniel Pratt reminded me of that, I don't know, a month ago or something. He had a video. Dan Dimension, guy's a genius, but like I never would have thought of any of these things, like light, like there's light that isn't from the sun, but it's light. Well, and then there's darkness. Like think of that, the darkness that is under God's feet or whatever. The darkness was over the face of the deep. We struggle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and the rulers of the darkness of this world. He bowed the heavens and came down, and darkness was under his feet. I'm just thinking of darkness verses, as if you can't tell. But yeah, darkness, just like it's a real thing. And you know what? I believe that when it says waters above, that it's talking about specifically what science would call dark matter or dark energy, whatever, darkness. I don't think we really want to even know about it. I think it's there because of free will. Without free will, it would be like a bunch of robots. So that's not what God, I don't think that's what his plan was. His plan was to create a whole bunch of angels and spirits and put them all over and make like what we have. I mean, like all the stuff that happens. So anyway, Enoch 57, he sees those men riding on those chariots and the host of wagons on the winds, and he sees them going from the east to the west to the south, and then the noise from their chariots shook the heavens and moved the pillars of the earth out of their place. And like in Revelation 12, Michael is at war in heaven with the dragon and his angels. So when the dragon launches, or when the SpaceX stuff launches and dragon goes up to give its power to the space station, the dragon gives the beast his power in the Bible. It's just right all in there. It's all in there. So, hey, Gina Farrell's in here. You'll never see them do a 360 on ISS, Moon, or Mars. Or will you see the cameraman? Yeah, probably. Or, like, there's two ways to look at this, and it really matters not which way we look at it. Because in Daniel's vision, he was watching all this stuff happen, and he was watching these things go up to the host of heaven and cast the stars down, and he was seeing the end. He was seeing all that happen, and he also saw something very interesting. He saw that the saints, that the like, this is what it says in there, the little horn that he saw that had eyes and a mouth that speaks very great things, and it had a notable horn between his eyes. It was a he-goat. Like, that was in the next chapter. But Daniel saw, okay, like, I think he's talking about the shuttle, and he says the first beast sees, he says, I beheld. He's all this stuff. He's seeing it with his eyes, and he says, the first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand on feet like a man, and a man's heart was given to it. That was the first beast he saw. And then he was told that it was a king, and that all the beasts that he saw were kings that would arise out of the earth. And I'm like, rockets. So yeah, that's why I'm always talking about this. But Enoch saw them launching them. And the noise that they made shook the heavens, and it got the whole heaven's attention. And then Enoch chapter 60 was the last day that the Lord was long suffering towards those who dwelled on the earth, because they were lifting a shout up against him, and there's Babylon's sins have reached up to heaven, and he remembered her iniquities, and that's it. I don't know what happens after that, but I mean, it obviously the wrath of God's poured out with destruction, but there's some stuff that makes me say it's like going to be bad destruction because of I'll just give you an example. 2nd Esdras chapter 13. Read that. There's a whole multitude from all over, from every nation or whatever, gathered against the Son of God. And a peaceable, he calls to himself, he's flying with the clouds of heaven in this vision that Ezra has. 2nd Esdras chapter 13. He's flying with the clouds of heaven, and he utters his voice, and everybody that heard his voice melted like wax melts near the flame. And then everyone that heard him did something different than this group that was gathered against him. And so those people, it called them a peaceable multitude, and they went to him, and he was obviously, he's on Mount Zion flying with the clouds of heaven. He's going to send his angels to gather his elect from the four corners of the earth, or four winds, or whatever, of heaven. So I just think that that's happening now. He sent them angels, and those angels are teaching us how to give glory to God, because we changed it. We professed ourselves to be wise and became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into a corruptible image. It's all in the Bible. So, and it's just whether or not people believe it, really. Do you guys like my name I put in here? Commander Joe Hill. Commander. All right, I'm out of here. This is just ridiculous. You guys have fun, and thanks for hanging out. Stop stream.